Our work in the UDRC project is focused on the optimisation of sensor arrays. One of the primary uses for sensor arrays is estimating the direction of arrival of a signal. So if you have a linear array of sensors, by measuring the time delay of the signal at each sensor, or in the frequency domain, the phase shift of the signal, you can then calculate the angle from which the signal is coming, thereby tracking the source of that signal. Sensor arrays can take many forms, for example synthetic aperture radars, audio arrays for tracking speakers, or in our case, hydrophone arrays for tracking underwater noise sources. The focus of our work has been on exploiting sparsity within sensor arrays. What we mean by that is we have a weighting on the contribution of each sensor, and by optimizing these weights, we can replicate the performance of a full array, but using a smaller number of sensors. The use of this optimization with certain constraints allows us to address a number of important problems in underwater array processing. In our work, we've been using the Portland 3 dataset, which was collected using 2 hydrophone arrays placed on the seafloor of a shallow harbour, and a small fishing boat performed several transits in front of the arrays. There are a number of noise sources in the data in addition to the target vessel. In our first demonstration, we compare the results of our sparse Bayesian tracking method with 2 of the standard baseline methods. We can see that our sparse method significantly reduces the amount of noise in the final result. The combination of high-pressure salt water and electronics leads to a very high failure rate in hydrophone array sensors. To overcome this problem of missing sensors, we optimize the weights of the existing sensors to take into account these damaged sensors. We try to maximize the performance of this damaged array. This increases the amount of time an array can spend in service and also decreases the amount of time that a vessel needs for repairs. In our dataset, we simulate damage by turning off a number of hydrophones. We then optimize the weights on the existing hydrophones and test the performance against existing methods. We can see that while the performance is degraded, our method keeps the hydrophone array functioning, whereas the baseline performs quite badly. Another problem we have in the underwater environment is that very often the source of interest that we wish to track is not the loudest noise in the environment. So what we would like to do is lower or reduce the loudest noise while increasing the response to the source that we are tracking. One way we can do this is to optimize the weights with the constraint that the response from the direction of the loudest noise is reduced to a minimum. In the next demonstration, we treat a quiet stationary source in the data as a target of interest, and we try and reduce or null out a louder moving source. So we update the weights live as the bearing of the vessel changes, and by doing this we can reduce the effect of the vessel and track the quiet stationary source.